Levinson, I presume.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Catch the Sky podcast. And if you heard my co-host, that means that we are in for the second episode in our series on The Office.
The Office Season 2.
Yes, we will be covering Season 2 in this episode of our podcast. As always, you can interact with us on Twitter at CTSTerry or by searching for the Catch the Sky podcast on Facebook or wherever you listen to your podcasts, Instagram as well.
T, how the fuck are you, buddy?
I'm good. I've only got about 90 more minutes in my 20s.
Wow, that's right. You're a September 10th baby.
Yep.
I had my alarm ready to go. I was going to wish you happy birthday, but you spoiled the surprise for me, you bastard. Well, I think last time we were here, it was Meredith's birthday, and just as it is your birthday. And with that, the birth of a Season 2, a much more extended season, more than 6 episodes. I think it's like 20 episodes. I don't know how many episodes. Too many. Too many good ones.
I know. It makes it much harder to pick our favorite episode for this episode of our podcast.
I think it'll be a more spirited conversation tonight as far as not only the favorite episodes, but our favorite quotes. But more importantly, let's get into the season narratives first. And I'm ready to roll when you are.
Yeah, me too. I think the biggest thing that I took away from this season was the formation of a number of different relationships. Jim and Pam obviously starting to take front and center, as it will throughout the series. But Michael also develops some relationships with women. Phyllis gets a boyfriend, right? We find out that Dwight also gets a girlfriend, somebody that is in the office.
A lot of love is happening. I think there's even a Valentine's Day episode in this season, which helps because, as we know, New York is the city of love.
Yeah. Which is not.
So, everything gets laid out here, and the characters develop. We'll start with... I want to start with Jim and Pam. Let's start talking about Jim and Pam, because I think that's the big narrative for Season 2.
Okay. Well, they get right to it in the first episode where Pam kisses Jim at the Dundies, at Chili's.
It was a drunk kiss, and I think it was the kiss that got her boycotted from Chili's officially.
No, her falling off the stool is what got her boycotted from Chili's officially. But the kiss did not go unnoticed. There were coworkers that
Everybody
saw it.
saw it. No, she was sneaking drinks. That's why she got 86 from Chili's.
Well, yeah, but the only reason they caught on to her was because she fell off the stool. And then Dwight tried taking off his shirt.
Oh, the Dundies. I feel like a good birthday present for you would be to get you a Dundie. And so don't be surprised if that shows up in your door a week from now from Amazon. God, they're horrible.
If you do get me a Dundie, can it be the Kevin Dundie for Don't Go In There After Me?
Oh!
Because that Dundie is specifically a man squatting.
Yeah, Kevin for worst bowel movement. He looks like he can shit some bricks, and he does throughout the rest of the episode. Like, Kevin is that guy. Neck like Mike Tyson.
But do you notice that the Dundie that he gives him is actually a man squatting? It's fantastic.
Is it, though? Is the actual Dundie like...
The little figurine is a man squatting.
I gotta go back and watch that. That is a...
fucking hilarious. It's so
How do you
fucking
pick up
funny.
on this stuff?
I don't know. I've seen it so many times that I look for these little things. I think I noticed it after he gave Kelly the Spicy Curry Award, which is super
What
offensive.
does that mean?
Exactly. I don't even understand what this means. This is a bowler.
Kelly is spicy, though, to be fair.
Right. But I think once I noticed that he gave her a bowler, I was like, what is he giving other people?
Does Ryan and Kelly's relationship develop in season 2?
Oh, yeah. Because Ryan hooks up with her on February 13th.
Yes. That is one of the more stressful parts of relationships, T, and I don't know what your preference is, but honestly, I prefer to be single on Valentine's Day. It's also a great day to go out and meet new people because everyone's looking for love that day.
Looking for love in all the wrong places.
Probably at Chili's. I've never actually picked up women in Chili's, but we're going to get into Chili's more later. So we begin to, it's already developed. Like they're doing a good job of making us hate Roy and making us root for Jim. Even though Jim is a bully to Dwight.
Jim definitely has the advantage of working closer to Pam as well. So we see their relationship develop throughout the Office Olympics episode. They have their first quote-unquote date during the client episode.
Yes.
When Jim has a barbecue at his place. He invites everybody over and, they share...
A night barbecue, which is weird.
Yes, but they share a moment in his bedroom where she looks around and...
Jim was waiting for this moment to get Pam in his bedroom. And slowly, he has a card. He gets her in Secret Santa. He has a card. He wants to show it to her, but he pulls the card at the last minute.
Yes.
God, how do you... It must be torture for Jim when she's planning her wedding and making her hair a certain way as far as how she's going to wear it at the wedding. She's going to look like an angel, and Jim is absolutely tortured by this. So much that I think he files an HR complaint with Toby.
About her planning...
Her wedding, yes.
Yes, at work. What's interesting, though, is for the first several episodes, Jim is still dating Katie, Amy Adams.
Who was a nominee for our best cameo. A solid nominee. And I want to give her more credit, and because she really gets trampled on. Jim, she just wants love, and she's beautiful, but she's not Pam in that she's a cheerleader. And Roy, being a jock, is probably better suited for that character. Pam is artsy-fartsy, and Jim's kind of a goof, as evidenced by his yearbook picture, which he gives her as part of his present, which she can't get enough of when she sees at that barbecue, right? And so it's constantly about these two. But Amy Adams, again, makes an appearance and then disappears after Jim kicks her to the curb on the booze cruise. And he was such a dick about it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And then he really fucks the whole thing up because then he goes and confesses to Michael how he feels about Pam.
Michael's a great boss, and I mean, I think the idea of rolling out a blanket in the break room and getting some za is an appealing... Every time I hear that line, I want to get pizza. Instead I want to burn the roof of my mouth is what I want to do.
So after Jim confesses to Michael, the secret is short-lived.
Cat is out of the bag.
Yeah. Mike can't help himself for very long.
Well, he wants to be in. He wants to be part of the gossip.
Right.
He just wants to be included. He just wants to leave his improv group and be invited to a gathering. So Mike, another narrative that picks up on this is Mike becomes human ultimately. And we're no longer angry at Mike for being an asshole. We just feel sorry for him. Michael becomes a human, and that starts in episode 1 of the Dundies, where he gets yelled at.
By the two guys over at the bar.
Oh, what's he singing? Elton John.
Yes.
And they trash him. Those guys were dicks. Those guys were grade A dicks.
Yeah, who throws food at somebody at a restaurant?
And that should lead to a fight instantly. Like, I would have thought Dunder Mifflin would have rised up and, like, beat that ass. At least, no. Very upset.
But it shows you how much they respect Michael. Or don't.
So, Jim and Pam, they evolve. They do things together. They try to help each other out with their career. And they eventually kiss again. And so, that's how the season ends. That's the big major narrative. Jim and Pam kissing at casino night.
And that is the end of our second episode. Thank you for tuning in. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, that's it, right?
Yeah, right. No, we have to discuss our favorite episodes from this season, right?
Let's do favorite episodes, and I think that'll help understand some of the narratives.
Right. Well, it's also helpful that we're discussing how human Michael becomes, because one of our favorite episodes is The Client. And there's a huge dynamic to Michael's character that develops in this episode, correct?
Legitimately, Michael knows how to connect with people, and he knows how to make sales. He grew up in Lackawanna County. He knows every hospital. He knows every school. And Tim Meadows makes a fantastic guest appearance. He's a nominee for Best Cameo. And I'm a fan of Tim Meadows as a ladies' man, as an SNL fan. More importantly, just to see him show up as somebody who's willing to just go for it. Like, he's willing to have a drink. He's willing to eat ribs. He wants to hear jokes. And
he's a good client.
Michael, he's a great client. And Michael's a great salesperson.
And I think it's worth noting that they are doing business at Chili's again.
Chili's is the new golf course.
It's where business happens. Or at least according to Michael's op-ed that he sent into Small Businessman. And there's a lot of business happening in this episode, I think. Tim Meadows is the client, and he's from Lackawanna County. Michael and Jan are there to represent Dunder Mifflin, and they need this client. This is a big one. If they get it, it
Huge.
can, help prevent their downsizing. Big time. And Michael ends up proving himself in this episode, correct?
He comes off as a buffoon, but in this episode, he proves himself a worthy salesman. He is a 2-time salesman of the year, to be fair.
And he comes off the bench, and he seals the deal with the county. But that's not all he does. That's not the only deal he seals that night, right?
Oh, he's closing deals left and right.
So outside the Chili's, we see Michael and Jan kissing. So we're led to believe that something happens after the meeting here.
Michael's the aggressor on this one. I think Jan is just vulnerable. She's just drunk. I think Michael may have slipped her something in her drink. I'm not 100% sure.
She asks him that later, right? In the later episode, which is funny. But
Chili's is the place to go to meet people, though. Let's be fair. Like, if
right?
you're going to meet a girl,
right?
Is there a Chili's in Erie?
There isn't. But Billy, the building manager in this show, meets his girlfriend at a Chili's.
His hot nurse.
No, well, yeah, I know. That's Michael thinks that it was his nurse, but we later find out that she was his server at Chili's.
Unpopular opinion, not that hot.
Wow, rude.
Yep, I know.
But we first meet Billy in the injury episode. He doesn't turn up a lot. I think he's only in a couple of episodes. But the injury episode is where we first meet him. And
okay.
I think this might be my favorite episode.
The injury episode, I've heard more people say the episode where Michael burns his foot on the George Foreman grill. That's their favorite episode.
I think it's my favorite episode. Absolutely. Think of
Boom, nominee. Lock it down. Favorite episode.
Think about it. It's which injury are they referring to? Because the episode also ends up focusing on Dwight and his concussion. So the episode begins with Michael calling the office in distress, calling Pam specifically, hoping that she would come and pick him up. And then they put him on speakerphone, and he tells them that he burned his foot on a George Foreman grill that he was going to use to heat up some bacon in the morning. I can't think of a better way to wake up in the morning, can you?
He likes to wake up to the smell of bacon. Sue me.
Right? So Dwight hears that he is in distress and immediately wants to go help Michael. And when he peels out of the parking lot, he slams into the telephone pole and then gets out and pukes all over the back of his car and then proceeds to still go pick Michael up, leaving his bumper behind. He clearly has a concussion.
Dwight is tougher than that, though, so I expect more from him. But yes, we do find out later he has a concussion.
Yes. So Michael gets to work, and he's using crutches and has his foot wrapped in bubble wrap.
And hopefully butter.
He asks Pam to come butter his foot. He has country crock.
It's What is country crock? Is it butter or is it?
I think it's some sort of butter spread. I don't know. But Michael is hobbling around the office in his crutches.
I can't believe it's not butter. Honestly, I cannot believe country crock. It's not butter. All right. Yes, Michael hobbling around in crutches like I'm going to be in October when you come to see me.
Mm-hmm. And people are making fun of him, except nobody's really making fun of him. They're just not taking it seriously. And so he invites in the handicap property manager, Billy Merchant. And it is his hope that Billy will shed some light on what it's like to be handicapped. But Billy really doesn't seem to notice it and really just wants to talk about property management stuff. But Michael is so obsessed with the handicap side of it that he wants to compare himself to Billy. And that's where Billy says one of my favorite lines of the season. You know what, Michael? Let me stop you right there and leave.
And this is one of those classic moments where we do hate Michael again for just being, it's all about him. But at the same time, it's fun to watch him injured. I particularly enjoyed when Dwight, post-concussion, couldn't handle, like he's fanning Michael's feet and he accidentally hits it. He hits his foot. And I do love that. I don't know. But Dwight is off. Dwight is not 100% there.
Oh, no. He doesn't finish his sentences. He's just typing his name repeatedly. And then they end up taking him to the hospital. And for whatever reason, Meredith volunteers for them to drive her van. I don't know why they don't just go in Jim's car or Michael's car or Dwight's car. But they end up going to the hospital and confirming that he has a concussion. And that's pretty much the ending to the injury episode, right?
Outside of some hilarious antics as far as Jim spraying Dwight and Michael with a spray bottle.
Oh my God, when he has the spray bottle, it is fucking hilarious. You need to get a spray bottle for your dog if you don't have one.
But I don't want to ruin my dog's desire to be sprayed with water. Like, I want her to be okay with bath. Yeah, I want my dog to like the water.
And your dog is a girl, correct?
Saki, yeah, she's a pain in the ass tonight. And actually, she's been eating more of my time, or I've been allowing her to eat more of my time.
Ah, good.
Whichever you want to put it. I mean, walking and
you gotta give her some time. You gotta give her some love, right?
She's been crapping on the artificial turf. It's been hell, man.
Frank hasn't done that.
Big nuggets, yeah.
Frank never did that.
Frank crapped on the main one, the main pad, and we shut him down after 2 drops. I chased him, and I came hard at him. I came hard at Frank. I came hard at Frank like a ram.
Well, it's a ram thing.
It is a ram thing.
That is also a line that they use. I forget who says it, but when they're talking about Roy and Pam, I think Mike says it, right?
Pam and Roy.
It's a ram thing.
Yep.
And that is in the Boys and Girls episode, correct?
It is. And Jan is there trying to see if any of the women exhibit any traits of management, of really
having an opportunity to excel in the company.
Yes. None of them prove any of that, except Pam. Pam is the #1 candidate. Her drawing skills, and it leads to an argument where we hate Roy because Roy doesn't want Pam to have any ambition. Even Jim yells at her. Like, do you want to just be a secretary?
He's encouraging her, though. He's encouraging her to go for it, whereas Roy is discouraging.
He does it in a dickish way, like, regardless, yeah.
Yes, I agree.
But it's a big episode for that, and I think it's great just in that as we discussed in season 1, this show is about workers. It's about unions, and so...
Well, it's definitely not about unions, so talk about it being...
It's about the working man. The show has always been about the working man and the struggle of working people.
Yes, that is true.
We see that even further with the union getting shut down quickly.
Yes, Jan comes down and shuts down the guys in the warehouse trying to form a union. And that is because Michael is down there dicking around as usual. While all the girls are upstairs, Michael's down in the warehouse fucking around. He gets all the guys together for a gripe session. And this is after he knocks down all the shelves with the forklift that he only had one box on. Literally one ream, not one ream, but a box that holds 5 reams of paper.
Right.
And he knocks down all the shelves in the warehouse. And he says, well, get somebody to clean that up. And Daryl's like, we're the ones that have to clean that up.
I'm surprised Daryl doesn't get mad.
Damn it, Michael!
Is that Lonnie?
Yeah, Lonnie's pissed. Lonnie is so pissed. Damn it, Michael!
I mean, Michael does get him pizza, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, it makes up for everything.
My favorite part of this episode is Michael goes on the chalkboard it says do not erase, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, and he erases everything.
Throws up a random math equation and says, this is for any Goodwill Hunting situation. And that to me, because Goodwill Hunting, Ben Affleck, that whole thing, that's just fantastic. And he thinks he's so smart, and Daryl says, hey, let us go up to the top and see how things are run. And he just assumes that Daryl can't handle it, that isn't smart enough, and we'll see later. We'll see Daryl blossom later on. But for now, Michael is
suppressing him.
Although yeah, exactly.
Do we have any other nominees for favorite episodes in this season?
I think, honestly, looking back at it, those are the top 3 right there.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. So, you want to start getting into some of our favorite quotes from this season? Because there are so many. There are so many. Oh my God, it's such a quotable season.
We've said so many already, but there are a few more. And
in the very first episode, when Michael's talking about the Dundies, it's all about appreciating everybody and their efforts on a daily basis. I mean, who's going to give Kevin an award? Dunkin' Donuts?
For me, and this is my favorite quote, and this will be forever. I feel like I use this joke at least once every 2 weeks. And what I have always done, and people who know me know this so well, is it me or does it smell like Updog in here? And this actually began...
What's Updog?
Yes. Nothing. What's up with you?
That is a good one. That is a good one. Well, I like it because it's in the episode that it's featured in. Mike hears the joke from Jim and then tries it on 3 or 4 other people and fails until he gets Dwight to fall for it, and then he fucks up the punchline. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Because my experience has been how Kevin responds. Kevin responds what is that? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. And Michael gets all frustrated.
I would need you to say, what's up, dog? That's it. That's all I need people to smell. So,
I like the $5 Lady of the Night quote.
Ooh, what's that about?
You go to a $5 Lady of the Night, and the next day you find out you have crabs. So you go back to the lady and you say, hey, I got crabs from the other night. And she says, well, it was $5. What'd you expect? Lobster? And this is what's at risk here. And they're talking about what jokes are inappropriate in the workplace. And Michael's upset because jokes of that caliber could be lost to the situation at hand.
That one's good.
I like that one a lot.
Maybe because I like lobster.
I'm actually not a big fan of lobster or crab. I like shrimp, but not many shellfish.
Does the lake produce anything?
Fish.
Okay. What about the lake that they were on for the booze cruise? Have you ever been on that lake? What is that lake?
Wanawampack?
Yeah, that's a real lake.
But it's not a great lake, and it's not here. It's not near here. Okay. I have not been on it.
I just assume Pennsylvania, everything's very close. I guess I'm wrong.
No, I'm pretty sure Pennsylvania's like might be bigger than Arizona, so might need to take another look at a map, buddy. So, getting back to our favorite quotes, there's a couple other ones here. Oh my god. Toby walks into the middle area near where the bathrooms are, and Michael's all fired up about something. Oh, I think it's when he is confronting Dwight about the fight at the dojo. And
Okay.
Toby walks in, and he's about to say something, and Michael's just like, "Hey, Toby, I have an idea. Why don't you leave right now?"
Is this the first time we see Michael being rude to Toby?
No. He's mean to him in the diversity episode in the first season, because Toby asks if they're going to sit in a circle and sing Kumbaya, and Michael tells him that's not funny and tells him to get out.
Okay, there it is.
Bang, bang.
Yeah, good call. I'm a fan of Michael and Dwight getting into the fight, and when he yells at Toby, only because Kevin, during the fight, yells out, "Sweep the leg." And I could not go without speaking about this, because it is an homage to Karate Kid, which has now been transformed. It was a YouTube series, and now it's a Netflix series, 2 episodes deep. Cobra Kai, No Mercy, and Kevin bringing that back. So I appreciate that quote, "Sweep the leg," now more than ever. So Michael and Dwight fighting each other was the oddest thing. I still think Dwight would kick Michael's ass, and I don't know why he didn't. But Michael obviously was playing the referee there and doing his part before he spit in Dwight's mouth.
Before he spit in his mouth.
Michael shouldn't have won that fight. No business. A little disappointed in Dwight, because physically I think he's just a superior athlete, as evidenced by his basketball skills. And I mean, the guy's a farmer. Like, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to take shit out.
Well, he didn't take care of it in this one. But speaking of being a farmer, that does remind me of one of his other quotes, where he talks about potatoes.
Go on.
He says, "I sat at my desk all day with a rifle that shoots potatoes at 60 pounds per square inch. Can you imagine if I was deranged?" He's talking about how weak the security is at Dunder Mifflin and how he brought in a spud gun.
The security headed up by Hank Tate, for the record.
Yes. And Dwight ends up becoming a volunteer corporal with the security there.
Dwight's a narc.
Yes. Yes, he is. We find that out in the one episode where they find half a joint in the parking lot. And there are theories. There are a number of theories about whose joint it actually is. Because
Ooh.
Michael never actually says that it's his, and there's never proof that he brought it back with him.
From the Alicia Keys concert with the girl from the lip ring, right?
Mm-hmm. I think there's a theory that it might be a couple of guys from Vance Refrigeration.
Are they the ones that sell Michael weed?
In a later season, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Those are the same guys that try to dance with Aaron at Disco Cafe.
Yes.
Skeezy. I get a sense that they want to kind of gangbang that and just go home.
Oh my God, that's another quote. When Michael has to sign all the papers and he puts it off all day and then asks the entire office to forge signatures with him. Gangbang style. Are there any other quotes or funny moments that you can think of that stand out to you?
I'm a big mung beans fan. Ryan files a complaint against Creed for having that distinct old man smell. And Creed knows exactly what he's talking about. He dries mung beans in a damp paper towel in his desk drawer. Very nutritious, but they smell like death. And he's very okay with that. And I love Creed, and I think that's Creed's best moment. Creed gets very few quotes. He gets like 1 an episode, occasionally 2. But for the most part, he has just a one-liner, and it's always wacky and out of hand, and I love him for it, and that's my favorite Creed. Whenever I think of Creed, I think of mung beans.
Creed is probably my favorite character, and we would be kicking ourselves if we did not mention some of his moments from this season. Like when he gets into it with Michael at the one meeting. And he says, Michael, he wasn't inferring, he was implying. You were inferring. And Michael says, was I, Creed? Okay, well, you know what I'm implying is that when we are on an elevator together, I should maybe take the stairs, because talk about stank.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And Creed's face just the entire time is utter shock that Michael would even be saying this thing out loud. And Jan's there, too, while all this is happening.
Performance reviews.
What about... He's asking if anybody has a disability, and Creed says, when I was a teenager, I was on an iron lung. And Michael's like, what? What? How old are you?
Oh, it's so good.
And then there's another scene where I forget why, but Michael just comes over and just like punches him in the arm. And Creed's like, he's like, ow, what'd you hit me for? You shouldn't have hit me, Michael.
He freaks out.
Yeah, he like tweaks for no reason. And then I think my other two favorite Creed moments are when he asks why there's a picture of a white man on the bathroom door.
Huh.
He thinks it's for whites only. And he thinks it's wrong. He thinks it's wrong, but he points out that there's a picture of a white man on the door.
It is true. It is true. I think this needs to, the world needs to understand this. This is systemic racism.
It's right on every bathroom door.
Speaking of systemic racism, Michael has so many horrible things to say. Like, he just does not understand black people, but he wants to understand black people. And he's talking with Stanley. He's trying to figure out how to reach Jan. And Stanley's giving him love advice. And with Stanley, the advice is that women say more in their pauses than they do in their words. In fact, let's go back and listen to that voicemail again.
You picked that up on the streets?
He did. On the Ghetto, in fact.
That's the line. That's the fucking line.
It's all about my bonus.
And it's not the only time in this season that Michael is offensive. As we mentioned earlier, that he gives the spicy curry award to Kelly for no reason other than she's Indian. And he does his Asian impression while they're at the Chili's as well. He does Ping, and there's an Asian family there.
Which I believe that girl at the Dundies, who was getting insulted by Michael's Asian accent, actually makes an appearance later on in the Benihana episode.
Is that one of the waitress girls?
Yes, I think she's one of the waitress girls.
My God, that is hilarious. We also end up meeting the Sikh IT guy that Mike doesn't get off to a good start with.
Oh, the poor Sikh. Shout out to the Sikh, though. Whether or not, I mean, he's an NPR fan. Like, we don't want to completely... His identity is not solely based on his religion. I mean, he likes muscle cars. He listens to NPR. He's a good guy.
Yeah, and he's the IT guy. But Michael does not know that, or at least not remember that he is coming the day that he first shows up. And so he calls security and is freaking out the entire time. I wish I could remember the quote off the top of my head. Tells everybody to turn off the lights and get down. And then somebody asks if they're in danger. And Michael says, there's no time to discuss it or something like that.
I will share a sad... It kind of relates to your birthday in a way because you're a September 10th baby. And post 9/11, I remember driving the streets of Vegas in December. A Sikh was walking down the Vegas Strip with he has the traditional turban on, and the person that I was rolling with, I had just met this person, and they said, "There's a fucking towel head." And I remember I had to stop and be like, "No, bro, that's a Sikh. Like, that's not a towel head. Like, you got it twisted." It was just a really sad day. And so Michael's joke is a reflection of how Americans thought. Post 9/11, as I understand in New York, like cab drivers with turbans Sikhs were getting ripped out of their cabs and getting the shit kicked out of them. It's a really dark moment in American history.
Yeah, nobody likes to talk about it.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about it because that's what Catch the Sky is all about. It's like,
Oh, I know. I'm just saying that, yeah, normal people don't like to talk about it, but yeah. I mean, they...
Dark moment in history. No different than locking up the Japanese post-World War II. But yeah, Michael...
Not just post-World War II, during World War II, right?
Yeah. And that's even here in Arizona. Like, we locked up our fair share of Japanese here, too, as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this... It's kind of... But I love that The Office kind of addresses these things. Again, they're taking on post-9/11 American culture. And Michael's a little upset that guy got invited to the karaoke party at Jim's house, but...
but he didn't.
Nor should he, because he was trying to spy on them with the help of our friend the Sikh. Which it's Sikh, by the way, not Sikh. Fun fact.
So
yeah.
I am mispronouncing it. My apologies. Sick.
Most
do it better.
It's an American, because it wants to say sick. Like, when you say sick, it has a corona implication.
Right. So, moving on, there's a couple other offensive moments. This season definitely continues to push racial barriers. We see Michael resistant to the idea of Daryl being Santa at first during the Christmas episode. For obvious reasons. I mean, have you ever seen Santa?
Not black.
I have seen Black Santa.
On Trevor Noah. I've seen on Trevor Noah. Greek. He's like Greek Santa.
Kelly is also the native on the booze cruise in reference to Gilligan's Island.
No, I think Michael's challenges with race go beyond asking Stanley where he learned this information about women, this whole on the ghetto thing. And he actually has multiple interactions with Daryl throughout the season, including putting $83 on a window frame and then pulling it as soon as Daryl walks by. But more so when Daryl wants to wear the Santa hat, Michael refuses. And I think in addition, Daryl is just in the office talking to Michael, and Dwight comes in because Michael requests that he needs backup when Daryl's there.
Oh my God, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
It's just nonstop. And Michael has this unnecessary fear of black people, which most Americans do. They're afraid of black people. They think they're all gangsters and thugs.
And I think Daryl proves the opposite of that.
Daryl's a teddy bear. Daryl he likes to make music. He wants to work for a living. Like it's every stereotype out the window, but he plays into all those stereotypes because it's funny.
It's true.
Because it is hilarious. Yeah.
That is true.
And he teaches Mike some phrases, some black people phrases.
Oh yeah, Dink and Flicka.
Dink and Flicka.
There were a couple other ones. I forget what they were, but he also teaches him a handshake too.
Yes, as they're fleecing it out.
Yeah.
And doing Gormac 5, they do a Star Trek like Spock handshake.
So funny.
And so it's Daryl accepts the role and he has fun with Mike.
And you mentioned the Christmas episode. They feature a Christmas episode, and they also feature a Halloween episode in this season, correct? They start doing that. They start doing Christmas to Halloween episodes. I don't know if they do them every season. We'll have to take notes of that. But they started... No. Yeah, but they definitely started this season and have one of each. And
I think the conversation can even go further as far as what's your favorite Halloween costume.
Oh, absolutely.
In each season. Yeah.
In this season, which is your favorite?
I'm a big fan of Kelly dressed as Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz.
Again, pushing the barrier, right?
Yes. Again, it's a take on that. I think if it's done the other way around, it's considered racist, which is interesting. So if Dorothy was, if Angela was Pocahontas.
Yes, whitewashed.
Right. Or if Angela was a Bollywood character, Angela being the stereo. Yeah, so.
Yeah, because Michael comes over and tells her that she should have been the girl from Bend It Like Beckham.
which is a great movie, by the way. Jarinder Chadaha, shout out to you for being a great director and one of my favorite films, Bend It Like Beckham.
And Michael, just again, being offensive as shit. But I think my favorite costume from this episode is... I'm torn. I think it's 3-Hole Punch Jim. Because you can get him in regular solid white or 3-Hole Punch. And they're a paper company, so that's funny. But the Michael paper mache, I think, is funny for 2 reasons. 1, it makes an appearance in a later episode. And 2, it's just on and off. And I think, is he wearing it when he breaks the news to Pam that they have to fire somebody on Halloween? And she asks him why he waited until Halloween. And he says, because it's very scary stuff.
It really is. Have you ever had to fire anybody?
No, I've never been in charge of anybody like that.
Oh, God, it's the worst feeling ever. Strangely satisfying, though.
Yeah, I bet it's like popping a pimple.
We will note, though, that Oscar is dressed like a woman in the Halloween episode, and Michael, even though Oscar is not yet outed as gay, Michael insinuates that he is gay, which I think is really interesting.
Yes, that is true. Says, I bet you wish you could wear a dress every day.
What does that mean?
We do find out in this season, though. It is before the season 3 premiere. We do find out in this season that he is gay. Because he does take a sick day on a Friday.
He does.
And we see more investigative work by Dwight Schrute.
Yes, the volunteer sheriff.
That's correct. And Oscar turns out to have spent his entire day with his partner Gil, which Dwight doesn't actually put together.
No. Dwight wants to avoid gay stuff altogether, as evidenced by Diversity Day in season 1.
Yes, that's true. He says that they shouldn't include homosexuals because that's an orientation, not a race.
Oh, boy.
So he is just completely... And it's also a theme that we see later on in the series, too, with the gaydar. So he's just completely clueless to the gay community.
He is. As many people were.
And that's probably also because he grew up in a more rural area as well.
On a beet farm. Which I think Cousin Mose might be gay.
I don't know. That would be an interesting theory to visit towards the end of the series.
I'm just making... I don't even know if Moses... Well, no, Moses... He does stare at women awkwardly, so I'll go ahead and give it to him.
He almost stares at everybody awkwardly.
He really wants to wrestle Cousin Ryan to the ground.
Cousin Ryan, that's what we should call him.
Did Ryan have any big moments in season 2?
Ryan?
Yeah. He burns the place down, or no, that was...
Yeah, he becomes the fire guy.
He becomes the fire guy.
And he doesn't want to have a thing here. But he quickly earns one when he burns his cheese pita. And they all have to spend the episode outside while the fire department takes care of things. And that's where they do the desert island game. And who would you do?
Oh, for me, it's Elizabeth Shue.
I think the desert island conversation's a fun one to visit.
Jennifer Connelly, Elizabeth Shue.
Are these women that you would take to a desert island, or women that you would do?
Well, how is desert island played? We're choosing one, right? We have to choose one. Jennifer Connelly.
Jesus Christ, that's not how Desert Island is played. Desert Island is the 5 movies that you would take on a desert island.
Oh, whoops.
Or 3 books. And you're sitting over here taking women.
Didn't we do this in our sports episode where we picked like our favorite movies? Is that the same thing?
The Office did it.
Our 5 favorite movies?
Yeah, 5 favorite movies in general, yeah.
Shawshank Redemption, Forrest Gump, The Natural.
Ooh, sports movie makes the top 5 all time.
It does. The Natural does. Wedding Crashers, and
This isn't guilty pleasure movies, Safe.
and it's got to be a Spike Lee movie in there.
For me, it is Interstellar.
Ooh.
Back to the Future. You said Forrest Gump. That's a good one, man. That really, that really is a good one. That's probably in there too. Probably Star Wars. Can I just include the entire saga like I did the Rocky series last time?
I'm going to say Inside Man. If I'm going to go Spike Lee. He Got Game was good, but I do like Inside Man with Denzel and Clive Owen.
I think I would have to say that my fifth one might be 300.
Really? You got to be shitting me. Sparta?
Great historical fiction.
I think one that people believe, right?
Well, the story really happened, but not all the wizardry and people having saws for hands and shit. But the 300 Spartans, they stood against a vast army of Persians.
I've never seen it.
Are you fucking shitting me?
I saw Braveheart and it was much better. Braveheart actually fucking kicks 300's ass. So let's be fair here.
Bastard.
Yeah. Braveheart fucks 300 up.
The Battle of Thermopylae is a real thing.
T, we'll put it to the voters. Like, for our podcast listeners, answer this question on Twitter. What's the better movie, 300 or Braveheart? You decide.
Well, I think it should be... all right, and I'm making the case that fucking 300 is based off of real history. I know the movie is obviously fictional, but it's based off of real history. Braveheart is too, right?
No, William Wallace is a real person. I actually read his biography.
Oh, man.
And Longshanks is a real king of England. This is a real story now. How
it's a real story, and it might be a nice, cute story. You know, like one of those William Shakespeare fucking novels that you read.
He took liberties with it, but William Wallace is a real hero in regards to the liberation of Scotland.
And that's great. That's really fantastic. And, you know, George Washington and a lot of these fuckers were heroes in the liberation of the United States. And that's great. But the 300 stand the test of time. The Battle of Thermopylae, bro. Why do you think...
Never heard of it.
I'm going to smack the fuck out of you. Get on Google in your spare time and research the Battle of Thermopylae. One of the most legendary battles of all time. They died. They all ended up dying. All 300 died, but they spared Greece.
I think we can agree, though, the Da Vinci Code is better, and if we took it to an island, we'd burn it.
Angela would. The Da Vinci Code. I'd take the Da Vinci Code so I could burn the Da Vinci Code.
I just love Dwight's response because he doesn't understand why, because that wouldn't keep her warm for more than a few seconds. Now, let the listeners decide. 300 versus Braveheart. You've heard the case, people.
Yeah, we'll put up a poll for them. Let them decide. This is going to be interesting. I snuck into 300 several times when I was in high school, and it's rated R, so I couldn't technically buy a ticket, so we bought a ticket to something else and just went into 300. So I don't know if that helps my case or not, but I'm throwing it out there as one last shot.
Okay.
My personal attachment to it. And moving forward, is there anything else that you really noticed in this season? I noticed that in last season we had a couple of quirks, inconsistencies, different things that we noticed that kind of stood out to us, whether it was done on purpose or accidental. Is there anything like that you noticed in this season?
More so what I learned later, and it relates to the best cameo category with Nancy Carell, who was Steve Carell's wife in real life, and she plays Carol Stills, the real estate agent, and I didn't know that until much later. So she gets a nominee for best cameo because she's just such a good sport throughout. And she gets introduced. She sells Michael a condo and then proceeds to become a love interest. And so on that alone, I think that's unique that his wife actually does play a role in the show.
Wow. I didn't know that was his wife. You teach me something every time we do one of these.
Carol Stills, how's the real estate biz?
I do more than just sell real estate, Michael.
There are so many other, like Ken Jeong, who became famous because of The Hangover, and
You gonna fuck on me?
he's in the improv comedy episode. Anchorman has Will Ferrell, and then you have David Koechner, who gets played by Todd Packer, and then Steve Carell's character.
No. You messed that up.
Did I?
You said Dave Cocker's played by Todd Packer.
Oh, shit. You know what? Fuck it. Either way, I'm not going to give him a best cameo. Ken Jeong was great in The Hangover. Nancy Carell is fantastic as Carol Stills. No, I guess Tim Meadows is probably, and ultimately is the best cameo of this. So, and that's really because of his quote. He has this beautiful quote that I'm going to go ahead and rip off. In regards to Jan's divorce, because we learned that Jan is divorced, you're really brave. I mean, you put your arms out there. You slit your wrists. You said, world, this is my blood. It's red, just like yours. So love me. And that is the best quote. And that is why Tim Meadows wins Best Cameo Award. If we can find a way to work that into a sentence, just casually.
Right.
No different than like Lumberg fucked her. I would be so happy.
Oh, my God.
Like if someone's telling you about their divorce, say that.
Yeah. Got to be ready to rattle it off. So Tim Meadows, your final answer?
Tim Meadows, best cameo.
I was going to agree with you, but like I said, you always teach me something. So now I got to go with Carol. Nancy Carell playing Carol Stills. That's my favorite.
She seems taller than him. I don't know if that matters.
I think he's just kind of a shorter guy in general. But moving on to a few of our quirks, maybe inconsistencies, things that we've may have noticed in this season that jumped out to you. Like I mentioned, the Dundie that Kevin receives is actually a guy squatting. And it's the "Don't Go In There After Me" award for him taking a shit. So I think the fact that it's a guy squatting is absolutely fucking hilarious. And the fact that somebody wrote that in is fucking hilarious. And I'm glad that I noticed it. How about you?
Me, Dwight's bobblehead. Because the Dwight bobblehead is so famous. If you go to the NBC store at Rockefeller Center, where I believe the New York Rangers sometimes skate there, you can actually go into the shop and you can buy the Dwight Schrute bobblehead. Another possible gift that may show up, like for your birthday. I haven't decided yet. It could be a Dundie. It could be nothing.
Could be. I like the element of surprise.
Before Angela gets him the Dwight Schrute lookalike bobblehead, he has a Michael Lieberthal catcher's bobblehead of the Philadelphia Phillies. Who the fuck Michael Lieberthal? Like, that is not somebody I know, and I know baseball. I don't know who Michael Lieberthal is, but shout out to him for fucking being an office character.
And Dwight still has that bobblehead on his desk next to the bobblehead of himself. It's still there. It does not replace it. They're side by side in later episodes.
Bring Your Daughter to Work Day shows all his collection, but for the most part, it's his own bobblehead and Lieberthal. That's pretty consistent.
Yes. I think another thing that jumped out to me was the introduction of Pam's mom. We see an actress come in that plays Pam's mom that is not the actress that plays her mom throughout the rest of the series.
I don't know who that woman was.
You just pretend that woman wasn't Pam's mom. You just act like it was a figment of your imagination. I don't know who that woman was. That's not my mom.
But she definitely likes Jim, and she wants nothing but the best for her daughter, and her mom knows that it's Jim that she wants, not Roy.
In the casino night episode, she does put in a call to her mom and kind of tells her what happened. And you don't know the question that her mom asks, but Pam does respond, "Yeah, I think I do." And it's you, I think, are what, inferred? Or it's inferred?
Insinuation.
It's either inferred or implied. that she asked if Pam has feelings for Jim.
No, we all have feelings for Jim, and we're rooting for this. And Roy is going to become a big piece of shit, but we're going to get into that later. No, I got nothing else. And
well, I do.
Go ahead. What do you got?
So, in the first season, there were several like extras strewn about the office that we have no idea who they were.
Go on.
In this season, there's an extra woman sitting in front of Kelly while they're playing horse during the Office Olympics, and it's the same woman that's next to Devin during the coffee race. And she is leaving work before Kelly during the fight, and in the annex before Jim tells Pam about the crush, like his crush on her. So I noticed it's the same woman this time, or at least appears to be, even though we get just quick glances of her. And I believe her name is Marjorie, because during the fire episode, they're assigning numbers, and Ryan says he'd be number 2. And Dwight panics because he wants to be number 2 and says that Ryan could be number 14 because Marjorie's not here today.
I am completely oblivious to any of this. I cannot believe.
So,
wow.
I think that woman is Marjorie. And what happens to her is one of my unanswered questions for this season. Like, where the fuck does Marjorie go? We fired Devin on the Halloween episode, but where the fuck does Marjorie go? And who is Phyllis's one-night stand?
Okay. I'm going to need more evidence. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch some things now.
Yeah, well, I pointed out the instances. She's there during the Office Olympics episode. You get a couple good looks at her. So the only other thing I noticed on this subject was when Michael talks about flaky friends, he mentions them using excuses like having dentist appointments that aren't dentist appointments. And I'm curious if that's foreshadowing to Dwight later in the series when he uses...
Does he really say that before?
Yes, he says it in this season. He says that you start to have your friends start having dentist appointments that aren't dentist appointments.
Wow. Yeah, because Dwight does try to betray him
in later in the series.
Season 3, episode 3.
Yes. And he uses that as his excuse, is a dentist appointment.
Dr. Crentist.
Crentist the dentist.
That is a great name for a dentist, by the way. So
maybe that's why he became a dentist.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create an ad. It's a PR market. We're in the wrong business, T. We need to go out and...
Well, hopefully someone will pick us up and then we can start showcasing our marketing gold that way.
Crentist the dentist. Fantastic.
So as far as the second season of The Office goes, is there anything else that you want to hit on before we wrap it up here?
T, the only thing I want to hit on real quick are the ultimate Michael Scott rules of business. And the major rule, though, is rule number 4, image is everything, Andre Agassi. So true. Something that was implemented at a very early age by my father. And it's a big one for me. And I believe it from the public speaking realm or in anything you do, you have to look the part. And so I will agree with that one. Everything else Michael says, adapt, react, readapt, act. What the fuck is that? I don't know.
Where's rule 3? He just
Nobody
jumps
knows.
from the second one to the fourth one. And then his 5th rule is safety first. Shouldn't that be the first rule? Like he's, yeah. Just continues to show his level of intelligence as usual, but we love him for it, and more so in this season. And that's definitely something we noted last week, is that they soften his image up a little bit in this season and make him a little more digestible.
So I think we got it covered. We got into the season narratives. We got into our favorite episodes, our favorite quotes, and just a whole lot else going on there. But T, it's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Likewise, sir. I'm interested to see the outcomes of this poll.
Yes, 300 versus Braveheart. I already know how people are voting. It's a slam dunk.
You might think you do, but I grew up with this generation, buddy.
Okay.
So
yeesh.
You will be able to find that poll on our Facebook page by searching for Catch the Sky Podcast. And it will also be on our Twitter if you search for CTS Terry. You may also interact with us on Instagram, and you may follow us or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, either on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts.
Or Vomicillin.
Vomicillin, that's right.
Stream us on Vomicillin.
Oh, God. Well, thank you for tuning in, as always, and we will be back next week with the third season of The Office. Until then, keep trying to catch the sky, and thank you for finishing out the last hour of my 20s with me. We've only got 3 minutes left.
Let's get it.
Have a good one, everybody.